Today we are looking at some Pal combinations in Palworld that are incredibly overpowered and that you need to know about, and how that will really help you out in the game itself. These will be both active, like Pal combinations to have in your party, but also in your base. That will be basically two-parter. Either way, let's get right into it here. So for the first combination here, we are revisiting the topic of gobfin strategies, and we are using 4 gobfins right here, and we're going to combine that with different pals depending on the fight you are fighting. For the first one, we're going to combine Frostallion Noct with 4 gobfins, and the reason for that is that Frostallion has a passive effect which boosts his player's attacks. So going over to Palette database right here, we can take a look at what that passive is. So this passive skill at level 1 gives, first of all, Frostallion 50% attack, so plus 50% more to himself, element boost to dark, and then also applies dark element to the trainer and gives you 10% attack bonus. At level 2, that increases to 55% for himself and 14% for the trainer. At level 3, it's 65% to himself and 20% to the trainer, 80% then 28%, and at level 5, so fully condensed, it is doubling its own attack and giving plus 40% to the trainer as well. Now stacking this with gobfins, so first of all you get plus 40% attack from Frostallion, so 40%, and then every single gobfin is also 40%, so no 20%, so like 40%, 20, 20, 20 and 20. Basically, this boosts your player's attacks by a total of 120%, more than doubling your damage, by having Frostallion Noct and 4 gobfins. Now, Frostallion Noct also changes your attacks to be dark type, so if I'm riding on my Frostallion right now, if I do this and ride on the Frostallion, if I start shooting out rockets, they will be doing dark type damage. So the plasma cannon, for example, is doing dark type plasma cannon damage, and the missile launcher as well, or the laser Gatling gun, will be doing dark damage. This is incredibly overpowered when it comes to fighting against different bosses or even towers that are weak towards dark damage. So Frostallion is a very good dark pal to have, and when it comes to, for example, in the past doing raid bosses in my base, I was riding on Frostallion Noct while having Astegons in my base, and that way the Astegons were doing top damage and I was doing a lot of damage as well at the same time. Now, when it comes to the stats I personally have on my gobfins, for example, I am running Stronghold Strategist and Vanguard. Those are the 2 important stats, and then I'm doing Philanthropist to help the breeding process. You could swap this out for literally anything else, but I just wanted to get the breeding done as fast as possible, so I went for Philanthropist to breed out Stronghold Strategist and Vanguard. Those are, once again, the 2 stats you actually care about on your gobfins. And on Frostallion, on the other hand, I went for Legend for attack and defense and movement speed. We also have Diamond Body for 30% defense, we have Burly Body for 20% defense, and then we have Vanguard for 10% increase in player attack. Now, you could swap out, for example, Burly Body for movement speed to kite easier, but I feel like defense is really valuable to have, because once again, I don't really care that much about this guy's individual attacks. This is basically my mount, and it's boosting my attacks, so either defense to survive more, or movement speed to be able to kite. Now, likewise, we also have a regular Frostallion as well, which has the exact same benefits as the Noct one, but instead of changing your attacks to dark, it will change your attacks to ice or frost damage. So once again, the same. Well, actually I'm running slightly different stats here. So you can see here my Frostallion, for example, going back to my party, Frostallion, he's running Legend, Vanguard, Burly Body, and Stronghold Strategist. So 10% increase in player defense, 10% player attack, Legend for both attack, defense and movement speed, and Burly Body for once again defense. These are not the perfect stats. Once again, the Burly Body can be exchanged for Diamond Body, but these are the stats I currently have on my Frostallion, and I'm quite happy with it so far. So once again, this is a mount you'll be using, and you'll be kiting around and using your own attacks to defeat bosses, towers, enemies, you name it, and then the gobfins are there to passively buff you and your damage. Next up on the list is going to be a pal that not a lot of people are talking about, and that is Fibat. Fibat has a life steal effect, so basically whenever you are fighting with your Fibat out, you will both get a life steal effect, which will heal both you and your pal based on damage dealt. So going over to my party right now, this is my Fibat, these are the active skills that I have, and these are the passive skills that I have as well. We are running Vanguard for player attack, so 10% more player attack. We are doing Diamond Body for 30% defense, Burly Body for 20%, and Legend for both attack, defense, and movement speed. Now in this case, you might be asking why not just run more attack damage instead of defense, and the simple reason is I do not want this pal to die. If he dies, the whole thing about the vampiric effect as well, or lifesteal, will die with the pal. I want this pal to live, so I'm running full defense here, 30%, 20%, and 20%, basically 70% defense values based on the passive skills that I have. And the main reason is I'm mainly using this pal for fighting at the brand new oil rig. Now if you've been doing the oil rig, you know that there's a lot of damage going on here, so I'm just gonna go there right now to show you guys why this pal might be good to have at the oil rig. Now, when it comes to going to the oil rig, I usually take away one of my gob fins for a jet dragon to be able to fly there easier, so we're gonna have one Fibat for the lifesteal effect, one jet dragon to get ourselves to the oil rig, and then 3 gob fins to boost my attacks when I'm actually at the oil rig. Okay, so the brand new oil rig was on cooldown for me, so I'm just gonna go over to the other one. The main point here is taking damage and then showing you when I take the Fibat out how quickly we heal that damage. So like right now we're on half health, and if I just start doing some damage here, we're gonna kill everything and we're gonna heal up super fast. Even if I use like here, this one should be healing quite a lot from just one hit here. Like healing here as well. Okay, didn't heal anything. If I go back and kill these guys, should be able to heal quite a bit. There we go. Basically healed for full health from one hit. So like when you have your Fibat out and you're fighting, you need to be like somewhat close together, but then you will have the whole lifesteal effect. At least in my experience, you have to be somewhat close, and if he goes a different way than you are, then it basically falls off. But either way, just throw it next to you and start fighting and do some damage and you will heal yourself. The only thing is, especially on the brand new oil rig, be a little bit careful, because even if it's still a Fibat, so even if you are level 60, the Fibat is level 60, it has defense values, it will still die fairly fast, so take it back to your party when you don't need it. And when you need it for the healing aspect, take it out and get those heals down. So like right now I've taken the Fibat back, and you can see it's passively slowly healing over time. And this is once again on the level 55 oil rig. The level 61 is even more dangerous than this one is, and I'm just stacking up a bunch of mobs right now so I can take out the Fibat, and you can see once again just how much we can heal from literally one hit. Actually, let me reload here while I'm here as well, and let me try to get a rocket launcher. We don't have one on me, okay, whatever. So like right here right now we're about half health. If I just let them hit me a little bit more, we can be less than half, or like closer to half right here, and then we can shoot a couple of rockets and we should be healed to full, like right there, all the way back to full. The lifesteal effect is so good when it comes to healing. Now a couple more pal combinations here has to do with the base, and here we have Shroomer Noct, we have Prunelia, and we have Lulu. For those of you who know what these guys do, well, you can probably skip this part, but either way, let's get into it. So first of all, we have Shroomer Noct, and this guy, if we go over here to Palworld database once again, you can see here, he has a passive skill. While at the base, he will reduce the sanity requirement, or basically it will give a decrease in sanity drop rate for people at the base, or pals at the base, and when fully condensed at level 5, this is 15%. Now the thing is, you can stack this, you can have more than just one, so if you have 6 of them, for example, that is a 90% reduction, and you can get the last 10% from crafting, for example, the alpha wave generators at your base and having a hot spring. So if you have 6 of them, you're basically capped, and if you have 3 of them, well, that's 45%, still really good. So however many you can have, that is like Shroomer Noct, very good to have. Shroomer has the same thing, by the way, but the thing is, Shroomer Noct is dark, so he will be like nocturnal, without being nocturnal. Basically, he will still work throughout nighttime, even if you don't have nocturnal as a passive stat on this pal. So Shroomer Noct, very good to have. And then we also had, for example, this guy, Prunelia. Going over to Pal database once again, Prunelia has a passive effect at the base as well, which increases the farm crop harvest rate. Basically, increasing the harvest rate of the crops that you have at your base. At level 1 this is 18%, and at level 5 it's 35%. And once again, the more Prunelias you have at your base, the more this will increase. So you can have 2 Prunelias, you can have 3 of them, you can have 4 of them, and it will still increase the number of the crops you will get per harvest. And the thing is, Prunelia doesn't need to be the one harvesting these crops. This is a base-wide buff this per person brings, or this pal brings. So once again, you can stack Prunelias in your base and reap the benefits from getting just simply way more throughput. And lastly, you have Lulu, which has another effect that will increase the growth of the crop. So if you take a look here once again, pal database. While at a base, Lulu fills the farm with good spirit, increasing the growth rate of the crops, so it will just grow the crops faster. At level 1 it's 25%, and at level 5 fully condensed it's 50%. And once again, this stacks, so you can have more than just one Lulu at a base, and basically having 2 is better than 1, having 3 is better than 2, and you get the point. So by stacking all of these and combining these pals in your base, you will first of all make sure that your crops grow faster with having Lulu. You will get more crops per harvest from Prunelia, and by having enough Shroomers, you can actually plant and water those crops even faster, because what the sand reduction leads to here is that you can actually start using hard work and super hard work modes instead of regular work. And as you can see here, work speed is normal, movement speed is normal, but when you have hard work, the work speed is high and the movement speed is high. And over here, work speed is the highest and movement speed is also the highest, which means if you start doing hard work, for example, they will plant faster, they will water faster, and thanks to having high movement speed, they will also bring those crops into chests even faster as well. So those are some pals you can combine and stack and reap the benefits from, both for combat and also in your base. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like down below, and if there's any more combinations you want to bring to light, then do so in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you again in the next video very soon.